Hello there. I hope you like this story. It's a lovely story. It's been documented by the police, so hopefully it should be all right. It happened in France. Uh, anyway, here goes. It was a young chap named Frank Fontaine in 1979, 26th November. So even though it was November, it's supposed to be very clear, and it was about middle of the day, so a bit nippy, but in France, a bit warm weather, isn't it? So, quite clear. And anyway, Frank Fontaine, he was like say 19. He was married, he had a small baby. Didn't have any problems at all. He was quite a popular young chap, I can understand. Anyway, this particular day, he was with two friends unloading some old clothes into a van, what they used to sell down in the market at a place called Gisor, Gisor, just from where this happened. Anyway, as they were loading the van up, all three of them, all three saw down this road where they were a bright light on the road. No vehicle, just incredibly bright light on the road. And they all looked at it and thought, blimey, what's that? So the two of Frank's friends went into the house. I don't know why it took two, but both went into the house to get a camera unless they were looking for it. And Frank himself, Frank Fontaine, got into his van and drove down to have a better look while these two were getting the camera. Anyway, the two lads came out with the camera, and then they saw the van 200 yards further down the road, because Frank drove it down, and round the fan it was encapsulated with a light, like a halo, right round the light. Sorry, right round the fan by a very bright light, and above the fan was one small object. It wasn't a big object. Describe it about the size of a tennis ball, very quite small. And as they got closer, they could see it wasn't big. It was just giving off this emitting this incredibly bright light, but it went right round the fan. And not only that, appeared three more lights, similar size, and they was a bit away from the fan, a few yards, and they was also emitting incredibly bright light. There was pulsating. One of them actually said it was churling. The light was churling. Whether I don't know if he means there's something going around the tennis ball shape size. I don't know. Just said it was churling, and another person said it was pulsating. But either way, it was bright and it was small. And anyway, they got it close to the fan because they're a bit worried about the friend who's in it. Then suddenly the three lights emerged with the one light above the fan to one, and it got brighter. And instead of being a small size, it got bigger. Somehow they just joined together and just got bigger, like a toy. And then it just pulsated more so and went. And they describe it not just moving, it just disappeared. They didn't say it went fast or went up anywhere. It just boom, it went. And how many times do we hear this with UFOs? Anyway, so they stood there a few seconds, but they were so concerned about their friend Frank Fontaine, they went up to the fan to see if it's all right, and as you would, wouldn't you, really? And he looked in the fan, both of them, and he wasn't there. Anyway, they didn't think he would much of that at first. So they thought, hey, he must have got out and hid somewhere, and got frightened. And so they went round side of the fan, looked underneath, and went side edges. He wasn't there. They looked some time, quite a lot of time, to be honest, and down the roads and went back to the house, and he wasn't there to be seen anywhere. Anyway, they left it for a bit of time, an hour or so, and they really got quite worried. So they ended up going to the police. And the police thought there was much messing about. They took the details, spent a good half a day with them, basically interrogating them, and thought they were wasting their time. But they stuck to the story. Both of them did. They're both separate, both told the same story. Anyway, the police documented it and presumed they went down. I don't know if they did not on this. It didn't actually say, but anyway, they left the police station, and it was about a week later, 1 week later, the fellow Frank turns up, and he knocks on one of the friend's doors who was helping load the fan up, and he couldn't believe him. He's there. He says, "Blimey!" And he phones his other friend up, and he comes round, and they're all asking where he's been and that lot. And he says, "All I can remember is that I saw one light. I was in the fan, and I was just staring at this one light, what landed on the bonnet of the fan, as big as the tennis ball, just like the lads saw. And that's all I can remember." Next minute, I was back to where the fan was. He says, I was looking for the fan and looking around where you two were. I said, why did you go? He says, the friend said, "But you've been gone a week." He says, "No, I haven't. I've been down there." And he thought it was instant. He thought he'd just been there, then walked from there to there, and he thought they took the fan, sort of thing. And he couldn't remember why. Anyway, he said, "No, you've been gone a week." So no other. They went to the police station, and they all told him the same story. Again, the police, which they wouldn't think they're messing about, but the police now are a bit concerned because they all told exactly the same story, and then they did actually start to investigate it. But he lost it a week, a total week, and as far as I know, he never did any hypnosis or anything like that after. He just carried on in his life. The police recorded it. What can they do? I suppose I can say, did they investigate it? But not much they can do, is there really? You know, except write it down. But nothing got said. It never got, as far as I know, there were no, like I say, no hypnotized to him. There was no more stories what came about. That was it. He didn't do it for money. So I see no reason why it can't be true or shouldn't be true. But I do like the story. Yeah, it's a bit spooky in many ways, but still good story. Anyway, it happened in Gisors. If you want to check it out, it's Gisor in France in 1979. It's not very popular. I don't know why, because probably not much to say about it, but it's still worth knowing and worth looking about at it if you're interested in UFOs, which I am. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you. Bye.